We continue with theme 2, session 3, social absolutes. Did you find absolutes in biological domain as I asked you to? Let's talk about reproduction. For every woman, there are two possibilities. One, you are pregnant. Two, you are not. That covers all possibilities. It's black and white. Either conception has occurred or it has not. This is an example of absolute in the biological world. Many deny the existence of social absolutes, and the standard statement is rightness is a relative concept. Okay, if what we're doing here is science, then we need to build it upon a foundation of not mere relatives, but upon a foundation of absolutes. If we're going to progress in any area of science, we're going to acquire useful practical knowledge. So we have to replace the relative standard of rightness with the absolute standard. With that information, I'm going to illustrate the first example of a test for absolute rightness. How many have heard of Genghis Khan? Presumably, most of you. Under Genghis Khan, the Mongols' armies conquered northern China, Turkestan, Persia, Asia Minor. Cities were resisted, were sacked and destroyed to be an example to others. Just to give you a little indication of magnitude of the terror that Mongols imposed upon the world at this time, there was a city called Herat in Afghanistan, which Genghis Khan had taken. And he set up his military governor and moved on to war in other parts of Asia. And while he was gone, the city folks in Herat decided they weren't too happy with the military government, so they decided to appoint their own, and they kicked the Genghis Khan's one. When news of this reached Genghis Khan, he returned to Herat with one of 2 months of his army. It's about 80,000 horsemen. They stormed the walls and proceeded to kill every man, woman, and child. There were only 30 people who escaped the Holocaust. Incidentally, would you be interested in knowing what the population of Herat was before this massacre? The population of Herat before the massacre was 1.6 million. 30 of 1.6 million were left to tell the tale. This took 1 week of wall-to-wall, 24 hours a day, systematically killing every man, woman, and child. If you're interested in the details, this occurred in the year 1232 AD. Does that give you a little greater understanding as to why people were afraid of Genghis Khan? Everyone in his day knew his name because he was dangerous. But please note, the moment Genghis Khan died, what happened to the magnitude of his corrosive power? It died with him. Of course, and from that point forward, he was unable to command 1 minute of anyone's time or interest. Now let me ask you, how many have you heard of another historical figure by the name Archimedes of Syracuse? Presumably most of you. Well, Archimedes lived 3 times as long ago as the Genghis Khan. However, Archimedes was a man of much greater significance than Genghis Khan, but with this difference. When Genghis Khan lived, almost everyone have heard of him. I might point out that when you massacre an entire city with a population of 1.6 million people, even without the benefits of telegraph technology, news will travel fast. When Archimedes lived, however, there were very few people who ever heard his name. But today, probably the same number of people who have heard of Genghis Khan also have heard of Archimedes. 10,000 years from now, the fame of Archimedes will be far greater than it is today. But at that time, almost no one will have heard of Genghis Khan. Why? Because their fames rest upon 2 entirely separate and distinct characteristics. Genghis Khan was a murderer, a destroyer of property. People were aware of him for one reason: he posed a threat to their very existence. In contrast, the fame of Archimedes rests upon ideas he developed that establishes him as probably one of the world's greatest scientists. All of us today are followers of Archimedes. If you drive an automobile, use a bus, subway, you're a follower of Archimedes. The automobile is based upon certain leverage principles. One of the many important discoveries of Archimedes includes a very important concept called the three types of leverage. There is no machine in the world that doesn't depend upon leverage principles in one form or another. If you are taking a boat, you are a follower of Archimedes. He developed principles that explain how a boat can be constructed that will not be easy capsize. When you choose to own an automobile, you choose to accept the principles of Archimedes, and you choose at the same time to become his ideological follower. Please remember that ideological follower. We will talk about ideological program in the last chapters of our project. You're following his ideas. His ideas have a major impact upon your life. However, you're not forced to make use of the ideas of Archimedes. No one forces you to march under red or other color banners and yell hail to Archimedes. Archimedes does not impose his ideas upon you in any way whatsoever. Why then you follow Archimedes? Think about it. The reason is simple. It brings you rewards. Now comes the principal question I was leading to. The guy was right. And the point I'm illustrating here is that absolute rightness is completely independent of time. The fact that he achieved this 2000 years ago is irrelevant. It's completely independent of place. The fact that he was done in Syracuse in the Mediterranean is irrelevant. The fact that Archimedes is part of a Greek culture, what difference does it make? 2000 years later, the ideas of Archimedes are still significant because they were then and they are now right. Right now, on a relative basis, but were then and are now right on absolute basis. In fact, Archimedes has got a 2000-year track record of zero failure. His ideas are absolutely right. Well, I have examined here what absolute rightness look like in terms of historical perspective. I've illustrated an absolute concept of rightness, one that is completely independent of the observer without respect to time, place, culture. If you wait long enough, the people who are right will rise to the surface and be clearly visible. And those who are wrong will sink to the depths of oblivion and be forgotten. Let's stop here. Let's take a break and come back to rightness in social domain in the next session. Until that time.